There comes a moment in everyone's life when the noise stops, the people disappear, and you're left staring at the mirror, not recognizing the person looking back. Maybe you lost everything. Maybe you failed so hard that even hope walked away. Or maybe life just hit you so fast that you forgot who you were supposed to be. But right there, in that silence, is where your comeback begins. Because when you have nothing left, you also have nothing holding you back, no expectations, no comparisons, no weight of pretending, just you, raw, broken, real. And that's the most powerful place a human being can stand. It's where you finally stop waiting for help and start realizing that no one is coming to save you. You are the rescue. Rock bottom isn't the end, it's the foundation. Every strong structure starts with clearing out the old, the weak, before anything new can rise. That's what this part of your life is. A demolition before the rebuild, pain before strength. And trust me, the version of you that will rise from this won't even recognize the one that fell. You see, life doesn't hand rebuilders luxury or comfort. It hands them pain, pressure, and silence. But that's where warriors are made. That's where clarity is born. Because when you've been stripped of everything, every excuse, every distraction, the only thing left is purpose. So if you're standing in the middle of nowhere right now, wondering how you'll ever come back, let me tell you something. This is not your ending. This is your beginning. Don't look for the light. Become it. Don't wait for opportunities. Create them. Don't seek strength. Build it. Every step you take from this moment counts. Every small action, every morning you get up when you don't feel like it, every time you choose faith over fear, you're laying bricks for your comeback. And one day, when people ask how you rebuilt your life from nothing, you'll smile because you'll know you didn't rebuild with money or luck or talent. You rebuilt with heart. There comes a point in life when everything falls apart, when you lose people, opportunities, and sometimes even your sense of purpose. It's in that moment, standing in the wreckage, that you're forced to make a decision: stay broken or start rebuilding. And it's not an easy choice, because when life collapses, it doesn't just take your circumstances with it. It takes pieces of you. It takes your confidence, your trust, your hope. You start questioning everything you once believed in. You wake up feeling lost, unsure if you even have the strength to try again. The people you thought would stand by you suddenly disappear. The world feels colder, quieter, and heavier. But here's the truth. Every breakdown is a disguised invitation to rise. Every ending is an opening for a new version of you to step forward. The pain you feel is not your punishment. It's your preparation, because nothing builds strength like being forced to start over. When everything is gone, you're left with only what's real: your will, your choices, and your belief in yourself. That's where the rebuilding begins. At first, it doesn't look like progress. It feels like chaos. You might spend nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if you're ever going to make it out. You might feel like you're moving backward when all you want is to move forward. But rebuilding doesn't happen overnight. It happens moment by moment, decision by decision. It starts the day you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "What now?" That shift, that tiny moment of acceptance, is the spark that lights the fire of change. You start small. Maybe you get out of bed when everything inside you wants to stay down. Maybe you take a walk instead of sinking into despair. Maybe you choose to forgive yourself for the things you can't change. Those aren't small acts. They're the first bricks of your new foundation, because strength isn't built in loud moments of triumph. It's built in silence, in the dark, when no one's watching and no one's cheering. You begin to understand that losing everything was never really losing. It was clearing space. Life removes what you no longer need so you can rebuild with what truly matters. You start recognizing who's real and who never was. You begin to see your mistakes not as failures, but as lessons carved deep into your soul. And slowly, as you take those lessons and turn them into action, something inside you shifts. The same pain that once crushed you becomes the force that drives you. Rebuilding is not about returning to who you were before. It's about becoming someone new, someone wiser, calmer, more grounded. You learn that your value doesn't depend on your circumstances or anyone's approval. You learn that real power comes from persistence, not perfection. You stop waiting for the world to understand your journey and start walking it proudly, even if no one applauds. And there's a day that comes not with fireworks or grand celebration, but with peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you didn't give up when you could have. You look around and realize that everything you built this time came from truth, effort, and courage. You rebuilt from nothing, but in doing so, you became everything. Because when everything falls apart, that's not the end of your story. It's the moment you're rewritten. And sometimes the most beautiful chapters begin right after everything breaks. The truth is, starting from nothing isn't a curse. It's a chance to rebuild stronger, smarter, and wiser. When everything you relied on disappears and all the comfort you once had is stripped away, what's left is pure potential. You see yourself for who you really are, without titles, without validation, without anyone else's approval. It's uncomfortable, it's raw, but it's also real. Starting from nothing is life's way of handing you a blank page, an opportunity to design something entirely your own. Most people fear that moment because it feels like failure, but in reality it's freedom disguised as loss. When you have nothing to lose, you stop living for appearance. You stop performing for others and start acting for yourself. You stop pretending that everything is fine and finally begin to build something real. You become honest with your pain, your mistakes, and your desires. That's when the fight begins. Not against the world, but with yourself. You fight the doubt that whispers you're not good enough. You fight the habits that kept you stuck. You fight the urge to give up before you even start. And through that battle, you start to grow. There's a strange kind of power in having nothing left to protect. You start taking risks you once avoided. You speak truthfully because you no longer fear rejection. You work harder because you understand what it feels like to lose everything. Every small victory becomes meaningful. Every bit of progress feels like a personal revolution. You learn to appreciate effort in a way that comfort never teaches. Comfort makes you soft, but loss sharpens you. It strips away illusions and forces you to focus on what really matters. When you're at the bottom, you see life differently. You start noticing the things you took for granted, the sunrise, the quiet mornings, the few people who actually care. You find gratitude in small things, and that gratitude becomes your fuel. The smallest progress feels like a miracle because you remember what it was like to have nothing. That perspective alone changes you forever. You stop chasing what doesn't feed your soul. You stop wasting time trying to prove your worth. You start investing in yourself, your growth, your health, your peace. The beauty of starting over is that you get to rebuild with clarity. You've already learned what doesn't work. You've seen what breaks you. Now, you can construct your life on truth instead of illusion. You become more intentional with your time, your energy, your circle, your dreams. You stop letting fear dictate your pace. You stop seeking shortcuts and start respecting the process. Every lesson, every scar becomes part of your blueprint for strength. It's in that rebuilding phase that you discover the power of consistency. No one sees your effort. No one celebrates your early steps. But you keep showing up anyway. You understand that no one's coming to save you, and somehow that realization becomes empowering. Because once you accept full responsibility for your life, no one can take your progress away. You stop waiting for luck or miracles and start creating momentum with daily discipline. And as you rise, something amazing happens. The things that used to break you no longer have power. The opinions that once hurt you don't matter anymore. The situations that once drained you can't touch you because you've grown beyond them. That's what real growth is, not avoiding pain, but evolving through it. You develop a quiet confidence, a calm strength that doesn't need to be proven. You realize that the version of you who started with nothing was never weak. They were brave enough to begin. And that bravery becomes the foundation for everything that follows. The person who has been to the bottom and fought their way back is not afraid of falling again because they know they can rebuild. They've done it once. They can do it again. So no, starting from nothing isn't a curse. It's a rebirth. It's life clearing your path so you can finally walk it with purpose. It's the beginning of a story where you're not just surviving, you're creating. And the strength, wisdom, and clarity you gain through that process will carry you further than comfort ever could. And when you rise again, no one will understand the strength it took. They'll see the success, the confidence, the calm in your eyes. But they'll never see the storms you walked through to get there. They won't know about the nights you couldn't sleep, when you questioned everything and still chose to get up the next day. They won't hear the conversations you had with yourself when quitting seemed easier. They won't feel the weight of your silence or the pain of pretending you were okay when inside you were breaking, because the journey from broken to rebuilt is invisible to everyone except the one walking it. People will clap for your comeback, but never realize how many times you had to fight your own mind just to move forward. They'll say you've changed, but they won't understand the price of that change, the sacrifices, the loneliness, the discipline it demanded. Every step you take toward rebuilding yourself comes with a cost: losing people who don't fit your new path, saying goodbye to old versions of yourself, and learning to walk alone until you're strong enough to attract what's truly meant for you. That's not weakness. That's evolution. The late nights when you stayed up questioning your worth were not wasted. They were moments of transformation. Every tear you shed watered the roots of your strength. Every failure became a lesson, every rejection a redirection. Pain, though it felt unbearable, became the very thing that shaped your resilience. Because strength isn't built in comfort. It's forged in struggle. You didn't just rebuild your life, you rebuilt your mindset, your patience, your faith in yourself. And the self-doubt that once paralyzed you, it became your teacher. It showed you that confidence isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. You stopped waiting to feel ready, and you started creating your own momentum. Every small step forward became a declaration: I refuse to stay broken. And that declaration, repeated over time, turned into an unshakable belief. You learned that even if no one believes in you, you can still believe in yourself. And that's enough to move mountains. People will never truly understand how much strength it took to smile while rebuilding. They'll never know how much energy it took to keep your faith alive when everything felt uncertain. They'll never see the countless moments when you almost gave up, but didn't, because true rebuilding is done in silence, in the quiet hours when no one is watching, when it's just you and your thoughts, when giving up feels easier than trying again. But you didn't stop. You kept showing up brick by brick, even when progress felt invisible. And that's what makes you unstoppable, because once you've been to the bottom and climbed back up, you develop a power that can't be taken away. You know what it's like to lose everything and to rebuild anyway. You know how to start over when no one's cheering, how to believe when everything looks hopeless, how to push through when you're exhausted. You become the kind of person who doesn't depend on circumstances to feel strong. You are strong because you've seen what you can survive. The new version of you that rises from the ashes carries wisdom that can't be taught. You understand that life isn't about avoiding pain. It's about turning it into purpose. You've learned to trust the process, to stop rushing, to stop comparing. You've realized that peace is not found in what you gain, but in who you become. You've developed a quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't shout, doesn't need validation, doesn't chase recognition. It just exists calm and unbreakable. You start walking differently, not because you're arrogant, but because you know your worth now. You speak differently not to prove anything, but because your words come from experience, not theory. You live differently because you've learned that time, energy, and peace are too precious to waste on things that don't help you grow. The things that used to shake you no longer have power. You've outgrown the noise. And when people see your success, they'll say you're lucky. They'll say it must have been easy. They'll say you were destined for it. But you'll know the truth. You'll know that luck had nothing to do with it. You'll know that your strength was built in the moments no one saw. You'll know that your victory wasn't handed to you. It was earned slowly, painfully, beautifully. Because the person who rebuilds from nothing doesn't just survive, they transform. They don't go back to who they were. They become someone entirely new. Someone who doesn't fear loss anymore because they know how to rise from it. Someone who doesn't need to be saved because they've learned how to save themselves. Someone who doesn't chase approval because they've found peace within. And when you reach that point, when your scars no longer define you but remind you of your strength, you realize you've become unstoppable. Not because life stopped being hard, but because you became harder to break. You've learned that power doesn't come from having everything, but from rebuilding when you've lost it all. That's the kind of strength no one can understand, and no one can take away. Listen to me carefully. This is your moment. You've been through storms that others wouldn't have survived. You've seen doors close, people walk away, and dreams collapse right in front of your eyes. And yet, here you are, breathing, standing, still willing to fight. That's not weakness, that's power. Because every scar on your soul, every tear you've ever shed, every silent night you've spent doubting your worth, they were not signs of defeat. They were the fire that forged your strength. You see, rebuilding your life from nothing isn't about starting over. It's about becoming new. You're not trying to get back what you lost. You're building something greater, something unshakable, something that's truly yours. The world may not have believed in you. Maybe people counted you out. Maybe you even counted yourself out. But the fact that you're still here means one thing: there's still fight left in you. And that fight, that's everything. Don't wait for someone to rescue you. No one's coming. Don't sit around waiting for the right time, the right mood, or the right opportunity. The right time is now. The right person is you. Every second you waste doubting your potential, life keeps moving forward without you. So stop waiting, stop overthinking. Stand up, take that first step, even if your legs are shaking, because once you start, momentum will follow. You don't rebuild your life with grand gestures. You do it with small, consistent actions. Every morning you choose to show up. Every time you silence that voice in your head that says, "I can't." Every time you take responsibility for your life instead of blaming circumstances. That's how rebuilding happens, not overnight, but over time, one disciplined choice at a time. You must remind yourself nobody owes you anything. The world doesn't care about your excuses, your pain, or your reasons. But that's your advantage, because it means you're free. Free to start again. Free to write your own story without permission. Free to prove to yourself that you are far more capable than you've ever imagined. When you finally accept that no one's coming to save you, you unlock the power to save yourself. And when that power wakes up inside you, everything changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop explaining your dreams to small-minded people. You stop giving up every time it gets hard. You start trusting yourself. You start believing that even if the world doesn't see it yet, you're building something real, something meaningful. You want to rebuild your life. Then stop focusing on what you lost and start focusing on what you can create. Don't look back. You're not going that way anymore. Look ahead. Visualize the person you're becoming, not the person you were. Every day, remind yourself, I am not broken. I am becoming. Say it again and again until it becomes your truth. Because that's what this journey is about, transformation. The version of you that's rising now is built from pain, patience, and persistence. You've seen rock bottom, and that's why you'll never fear falling again. You've been rejected, and that's why you don't need approval anymore. You've been empty, and that's why you'll appreciate every blessing that's coming your way. Let people doubt you. Let them talk. Let them say you've changed, because you have. You had to. You can't rebuild your life while staying the same person who broke it. You had to let go of who you were to make space for who you're meant to be. Growth is not comfortable. It's painful. It's lonely. It's demanding. But it's worth it, because the person you become on the other side of pain is powerful beyond measure. And when you finally get there, when your peace returns, when your confidence grows, when your results start showing, people will call it luck. They'll say you were born with something special. But you'll know the truth. You'll know it was discipline, not luck. It was consistency, not chance. It was the late nights, the self-doubt, the pain, and the relentless decision to never give up that brought you here. So keep going. Even when no one believes in you, keep going. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, keep going. Every small effort is adding up. Every quiet day is building momentum. Every time you refuse to quit, you're getting closer. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. There will be days when it feels impossible, days when your mind will scream to quit. But that's when you remind yourself you've come too far to give up now. You didn't survive everything just to stop here. You didn't rebuild your courage just to fall back into fear. You didn't fight this hard just to remain the same. You're here to grow, to rise, to rebuild. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that starting from nothing was the greatest gift life ever gave you, because it taught you who you truly are. It showed you that you're not defined by what you lost, but by what you built in its place. It proved that even when everything falls apart, you can still rise again stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. So stand tall, take a deep breath. This is your time. Don't whisper your comeback. Make it loud. Let the world feel your energy. Let your actions speak louder than your pain. You're not a victim of your past. You're the architect of your future. And from this moment on, you're no longer rebuilding what was, you're building what air will be. You've already survived your hardest days. The rest is your victory story in motion. Go right